2022 Honda CB1100 RS launch, a classic big bike. The Honda CB1100 Final Edition comes with a 4-cylinder, air-cooled inline engine. This allows owners to feel the long-lasting charm of the CB family. Finally, the Camp Pinion Honda has released the CB1100 Final Edition, a classic big bike. Official in Japan, which is considered to be the last version of the bike in this family. Most of the alloy wheels come in 17-inch rims both front and rear. The swing arm is made of aluminum. The rear suspension is equipped with a sub-tank and can be adjusted. The front part is telescopic. And the power of the bike will come in the coordinates of 1140 cc DOHC, 4-stroke, 4-valve, 4-cylinder inline, giving a maximum horsepower of 88 horsepower, 7,500 RPM, seat height 795 millimeters. The weight of the bike is 252 kilograms. Dual front disc brakes, single rear, 6-speed manual transmission, 16.8-liter fuel tank capacity. It may be possible that it will be imported from Japan. Honda hasn't updated the CB1100 air-cooled 4-cylinder engine to meet the stringent Euro 5 emission norms. It looks like the brand has decided to pull a plug after almost 13 years of serving the world market. But we can expect the brand to revive this engine in the next few years. These upcoming final editions are unlikely to come to India as it will barely do any sales in the country. Plus, Honda India is known to price their CBU models extremely high, making it almost irrelevant to the market. The Honda CB1100 range could end in 2022 as the Japanese firm just dropped a teaser image with the name Final Edition. This CB1100EX and RS Final Edition models could spell the end of the road for the much-loved air-cooled inline 4 motorcycle. Barely updated since 2014, the tightening emission regulations are finally catching up on the aging engine. According to reports, the CB1100EX and RS will be available in cast alloy wheels and spoked, followed by a new colorway consisting of classic red and gloss black, while the CB1100 RS looks to be available in matte denim color. Since this could be the last updated model of the CB1100 range, we see no reason for Honda to revise the air-cooled engine setup. The final edition could be an attempt by Honda to offer fans the chance to appreciate the CB1100 for one last time. However, we hope the CB1100 will make a comeback in a few years, just like what Suzuki did with the returning Hayabusa. Is the end in sight for the much-loved Honda CB1100? Honda have tweeted a teaser image showing CB1100EX and RS Final Edition models. Is it the end of the air-cooled inline 4? The Honda CB1100 could be winding down in 2022 as Honda shares a teaser image showing final edition models of the CB1100 ES and RS. Sadly, for the much-loved CB, its aging air-cooled architecture seems unable to escape the grip of ever-tightening emissions regulations. Barely updated since 2014, Honda's subsidiaries in Asia have been the first to share the news about the model. The CB1100 RS in its new silver color scheme. For those hoping for an all bells and whistles machine to really send the bike off with a bang, you might be disappointed. Honda Taiwan has shared some images of the bike in its market-specific trim. It looks like the CB1100EX Final Edition will be available with new cast alloy wheels, as well as spoked, and some new colorways, a classic red and gloss black. The CB1100EX Final Edition in gloss black with new wheels. With no hard and fast details from Honda on the bike, we can only speculate as to the final spec of the machine. It's highly unlikely that the engine will be updated for any improvements to performance, meaning there is probably the same 90 bhp output on offer and 68 foot-pounds of torque. A final edition for the Honda CB1100. The last two versions EX and RS announced by the manufacturer towards a production version of the CBF concept to succeed it. At the beginning of last year, Honda began to clean up its range with the disappearance of the CB1100 from the French catalog. At the same time, the retro machine powered by the 1140 cm3 inline 4 cylinders and 90 horsepower continued its road in certain countries, in particular in the United Kingdom, where the range is still available. But it looks like the emission standards are too restrictive for the air oil-cooled engine, and the CB1100X and CB1100RS should be phased out soon. The manufacturer has just announced the imminent arrival of a final EDITION for its two versions through the official Twitter account of the Japanese subsidiary. So it's only a matter of months before the CB1100 is taken off the list for good. But will this necessarily mark the end of Honda classic motorcycles? Not necessarily. At the moment some continue to capitalize on vintage, like the entire Bonneville range at Triumph, or the Z650 RS expected at Kawasaki. Honda could well take advantage of this separation to pass the baton to a new generation. We remember that the Japanese manufacturer presented a CBF concept inspired by the CB900F Boldore from the 1980s in the spring of 2020. Although young-timers in its style, the concept opted for a cycle part and a mechanical significantly more modern than the 1100 based on the CB1000R Roadster. Honda CB1100 Final Edition, the end for air-cooled fours? Honda's official Japanese Twitter account has published a teaser for a duo of Final Edition models that look set to end the firm's long history of air-cooled four-cylinder bikes. With an evocative shot of a CB1100 being wheeled out of a garage and a close-up of the bike's cylinder head cooling fins, the message simply reads CB1100EX Final Edition. That said,